Oh, that's true.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. We're in business. Oh, I'm way over here. Oh, well.
Yeah, play like we're out in the crowd.
Something like that.
That ceiling fan psyop is wild. Is wild. Wise. We need to articulate the good.
Yeah.
I will quote Fifth Element and say that time is not important. Only life is important.
Time not important. Only life important.
Like love. Love is worth saving.
I don't know love.
Now encompasses everything. Does it not?
It's all there is.
It's all there is.
You choose survival, social, wisdom, or heart.
Miss, multipass.
I do believe that this consciousness is sort of like a meat popsicle, as Bruce Willis in The Fifth Element called it.
Sir, are you classified as human?
Negative. I am a meat popsicle.
Chad just got an elliptical. Chad, get in here. I'll show you what's up. Show you how it's done.
Fifth Element, and the gal that's playing in Fifth Element, I had the same. So I had this tendency to be able to be captured by the stories or the performances, and I think there's something similar to that. If I'm watching a movie or a film and I'm immersed in the story, that's a flow state too.
But life is time. Your life is made up of the time you have. That's all it is.
You see, Father, by creating a little destruction,
A cherry.
I'm in fact encouraging life.
You're a monster, Zook. I know.
See, you've given yourself up. But this is the most powerful thing that can be done. Surrender.
Why don't you take this opportunity to answer that in the Hive Mind chat or in the comments if you're watching the replay? What do you want to exist even if you don't? And how much of a difference do you make to it?
Wind blows. Fire burns.
There are some things, very nice things worth saving.
Like love.
Like love. Love is worth saving.
I don't know love.
Because I love you.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 1.
Oh, hey, and welcome. We are hunting Egregores with this AI thumbnail for Enmity for the Womb. I am General Griswold Gaius Grimm of the First LARP Ingression Protocol, and this episode has been executive produced by Upcycle Club and the German philosopher and/or the German dragon, who's recently gone on with Dumir. Today's episode is streaming over the top of Pastor Paul Van de Clay's live stream, for which you have no savings throws. But don't worry, we have the important parts from it already clipped and ready for your viewing. We will be getting to hunting Egregores, as the title of the YouTube video implies, but that'll be toward the end of the show, because there's a whole bunch of context that's going to precede it. Hey.
It's a whisper in your ear, now listen here. Remember, Embody, it's all so clear. No hidden strings, no puppeteer. We're by your side, have no fear. I cherish truth. I cherish truth. Remember, Embody, there is no agency. We want what's best for you.
Oh, wait, you left the thumbnail up. Okay. I have a special message for channel members of the channel that pay the memberships and/or write gifted memberships as they're frequently gifted. I still don't know how. The special message for the channel members in this current live stream, accessible to everybody. I don't know if you noticed, but this show is executive produced by Upcycle Club, and Upcycle Club has said howdy in the Hive Mind chat. And as channel members of the YouTube channel Grim Grizz, you have the superpower of typing howdy when the executive producer says howdy, and that'll make a magical emoji appear in the Hive Mind chat that shows howdy Rascal from the merchandise live in the Hive Mind chat. And if you do that when the executive producer says howdy, you will now be getting a +3 bonus to the savings throws of that day. You know how those work. We'll be doing those right after this additional branding.
Remember, Embody, there is no agency. We want what's best.
Although this world will devastate you, and rejoice although this world will penetrate you, and rejoice although you will not survive. Rejoice you'll never make it out alive.
Excellent rehearsal, gentlemen.
And rejoice your hair, it smells like burning hair. Oh, rejoice, your nails all got chewed off. Oh, rejoice, and holy fuck, you're bleeding there. Oh, rejoice, you burn your whole beard off. Rejoice, despite the fact this world will hurt you. And rejoice, despite the fact this world will kill you. And rejoice despite the fact this world will tear you 'cause you're trying your best.
Hey, I love that one, man. That's gorgeous. Thank you, brother. Wait, who's that?
Andrew Jack.
In the show House of Cards, he starts off as a minority whip, and mostly not working is the minority whip of YouTube likes. And, hey, it's Dust to Dust with a weird new logo. How you doing, Dust? Good to see you. Good to see you also, Kurt and Adam and Miss McGillicuddy and Nitalate. I remember you. Josh is in here. Kurt, I said. Anybody? Oh, Michael's got two phones. Mr. Fat's in the house. And T.W. Arundel, as well as Adam. Hi, everybody. No, Adam, it can't. Nothing can do that. You're screwed. Okay, now we're going to do those things we call survival savings throws versus mind control, because you're swimming in it like a fish does water, because the word is creation. There's no such thing as muggles. You get to pick between survival, social, wisdom, or heart as the basis for your resistance to the mind control. I roll these dice. If it's over 10, the one you chose, when I roll, comes up over 10. You've made your savings throw. Hooray! You take half damage from the mind control that follows the rest of the show and the rest of your day. And if it's under 10, you take full damage. But hey, at least you got the savings throw. Survival, social, wisdom, or heart. Choose. Participatory. Oh no, wisdom out the box. Survival. With pair of chakras, 14. Socialists coming in strong with the Trinity. Not strong. You got the Trinity. You're going to need your bonuses, socialist. Wisdom, folks, out the box, making the save with the 10. With the 10 heart, folks, you get the number of chambers in your heart. That's a 4 for you. You're going to need some bonuses. Indigo kids coming in so strong with a deuce. With a big deuce for the Indigo kids today.
What makes you assume that I'm not about to feed you all to the crocodile? What makes you assume that I'm not about to feed you all to the crocodile? What makes you assume that I'm not about to feed you all to the crocodile?
That's very exciting. Hello. I see the assassins have failed.
Now, for those of you brave souls who are missing the Pastor Paul live stream to be here right now, we'll take this highlights from what the only thing you really missed, and it's partly this.
But those late boomers were certainly not like the people born in the 50s. So, and there's a whole group of us, myself, Peterson, Vervaeke, we're all about the same age. John is a little bit older. My parents' generation opened things up a bit. That opening up has just kept happening. And it's happened by, it's easy to avoid print that you don't want to read because print takes work. It's harder to avoid radio that you don't want to be exposed to. Radio came in my parents' generation. It became harder still to avoid set. And at each level, decolonizing grew further and further. And so then I was very much raised in the age of television. The next generation was raised in the age of cable television. Then you had now suddenly with broadcast television, what you would be exposed to watching broadcast television, the 7 naughty words, all kinds of things you would not see on regular television. And it was in some ways a programming from the then monoculture. And then cable television, suddenly you've got, now you're showing things on television that you had to go to a movie theater. And in some ways you had to go to one of those
The power of set is a normalization ray. It makes things normal.
I don't want to know how things are to be. I want to exert action as long as I live, so that the sort of things which should, in my opinion, be, have more chances of being. If they're all set, it doesn't interest me anymore to see the year 2000 than it interests me to see the year 1000. The merit of the future is that it is not set. The merit of the future is that it is not set. The merit of the future is that it is not set. If they're all set, the merit of the future is that it is not set. The merit of the future is that it is the area in which we can exert our will, exert our efforts, and try to validate our values. That is the merit of the future.
Okay, hi, I'm General Griswold Gaius Grimm of the 1st LARP Ingression Protocol. Hello, I see the assassins have failed. I'm also a founding member of the Fraternal Regiment embodying narcissistic sociopathy, where we seize the crown of brotherhood, and that makes us the good guys. Casino deck card for the show is the Black Joker. Welcome, Embody. As I told you, we'll be hunting egregores in today's stream. And to get you there, the context is I woke up this morning to a notification that I had been mentioned in the Pastor Paul video he recorded last night. You're gonna need a face-to-face community to resist AI turning you into cattle. And so as such, I had to check that out.
Maintain anonymity, which is absolutely fine. He's a very active member of the corner. He uses Notebook LM from Google to do as his notebook thing. And there are plenty of obsessive notebook people around. I used to use Google Notebook until they killed it. And quite frankly, now this Notebook LM looks intriguing, but I'm very hesitant to put too much into Google for a whole variety of reasons, including the fact that one day they might just lose interest in it and dump it. And I've just invested years of note keeping into that one thing. So he had that language model create a podcast based on the podcast that I made. I've now listened to the whole thing. I downloaded the whole thing. But Grimgriz played a good part of it. I'll put the link to the whole thing below. I'll put the link, obviously, to all the other videos that I mentioned, but I will play for you.
And other highlights, way at the back end of this, he played this new one from Mike Sartori, which is great.
Leave a comment.
The final thing I wanted to talk about with this movement is I want to get really into, within online spaces, better defining what it is, better understanding what it is, and labeling it. Because for a lot of these movements, part of them coming to exist in a wider context is somebody out there saying, this is a thing that's happening. This is a movement or a group, and we need to be paying attention to it. And when the new right, I think, is really going to form in the minds of the general public is when there's the first press piece really freaking out about it in the New York Times. You know, that's when the alt-right comes to exist. That's when the Tea Party really comes to exist. But I think that, and a person who's done this really well is Paul Vanderklay, who we've been on his show. He's been on our show. He talks a lot about this little corner within online environments. And he sort of created the concept of this corner of people who talk about and made it a thing by labeling it and talking about it.
And he would humbly argue, I imagine, if he were sitting here, that, oh, well, I didn't come up with the term, other people did, and I'm just part of this little corner. But the fact is, he's one of the more prolific actors in the space. He's one of the louder voices because he's just so frequently publishing, and therefore his word is actually quite powerful in shaping the perception of the industry. He's the one.
Brought to you by.
The fact is because he's just
the silver bullet. The silver bullet. Do it. Do it. Did you do it and put it down? Son of a, I want you to do it. There it is. There it is. Mmm. Now this part's a little tricky because I've got 3 pieces of the live stream pause clipped, as I wasn't able to actually make clips of the only thing you're missing in the competing live stream. But Blue Church card for this stream is the King of Diamonds, and so this might be what I was just playing and not the part I'm looking for.
Icky movie theaters, if you wanted to see. And then, of course, with the internet, it's blown wide open. State park campfire estuary potlucks. What do you think? I think they're a great idea.
And then that was one important part where he read my question about the state camp estuary potlucks, where people like you look into their local state camp and see what the group site costs, and we do a little potluck fundraiser, and we just have an estuary around the campfire with our phones in a car where it's just people talking without being... And the state parks around campfires. Yes, that one. And he finally gets to this next part, which is the important bit, I think. Isn't it? After like 10 minutes of story time.
So I think the campfire thing, and if Grizz does it, because if Grizz does it, people will come. Because who doesn't want to just peek behind the veil of the mystery of Griswold, General Gaius Griswold Grimm? Who is that man? What's he like to be in real life? Who doesn't want to pet kayfabe? I mean, it's a small cult, but it's a cult. There you go. That'll show up.
Oh, shoot. Where was I going with this? Attention. Attention.
Keep it coming. Never know. I'll never die. I love you. I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
+4. Also in the stream you're missing to be here, he does a lot of how to participate, how to be a part of the TLC. Well, it turns out By the power of StreamYard, I'm allowed to know the agency deck card of the show is the King of Clubs, and that one of the things I have in my library of recordings is the first of two videos called TLC Orientation from June of 23, and we've had the AI slaves make a little clip from it. So what's that?
So in the world where you ought to do things, things like orientation are important, right? So this is defines where you're looking at, where you're going.
Oh,
and
Manuel.
agency is important. Agency.
That great job, AI. Well, anyway, there's two videos back from June that'll help you orientate somewhere on this channel.
Ducks eat bread.
They do. They like it.
All right, now on to the hunting of the Egregores on this Hunting Egregores stream.
Now what'll that asshole think of next? Is anybody got a dime?
Special thanks to the Shadow Cabal. So say we all.
So, contextually, Pastor Paul Vanderklay had done our coverage of the LLM doing his speech with Karen, and seeing that again this morning prompted me to make a new one, this one on my video Rollback Abortions, which I then pitched to NPR Inskeep as me pitching a what you call it, a series to NPR itself. Here's that playing now. Maybe here's a bit of it from 251.
Wow, that's a much broader definition than I'm used to.
Right. And get this, Griswold claims that's why the VA can justify funding abortions for so many more reasons than before.
That's a pretty significant claim.
Totally. And they don't stop there. They go on to suggest there's a link between the VA, this whole health model, and, wait for it, Walmart.
Omar, you're kidding, right?
You're kidding, right? This guy is crazy. I wanted to note that they misgendered me as a they, which made me uncomfortable.
Nope. Griswold actually suggests that Walmart might be involved in the future of this whole thing, even implying they might offer abortions at Walmart stores someday.
Now that's a stretch, even for Griswold.
I know, right? But before we spiral into Walmart healthcare conspiracies,
Even
maybe we should try to understand this whole health model a bit better.
Even for Griswold. But before we spiral into conspiracies at 3 minutes and 33 seconds, he says at 3:22.
Now that's a stretch, even for Griswold.
I know, right? But before we spiral into Walmart healthcare conspiracies, maybe we should try to understand this whole health model a bit better. It seems to be at the heart of all Griswold's concerns.
I agree. Let's dig deeper into this whole health model. Griswold's take on it is definitely something, but we need to look at it objectively.
Yeah, I mean, Griswold definitely has their own way of looking at things. That whole spiritual warfare thing can be a bit much. It's a lot, right? But even with all that, there's some real...
That whole spiritual warfare thing is a bit much.
Remember it. This agency. We want
No. And overall, I thought it was a pretty good translation of things I wanted to say into something a lefty might be able to hear.
The list? Yes, any of the first level ones.
I'm gonna get a soda. Anyone want one?
What room? I want to cast magic missile.
The room where he's casting all these spells from!
He hasn't cast anything yet. I am, though, if you'd listen. I'm casting magic missile.
Why are you casting magic missile? There's nothing to attack here.
I'm attacking the darkness.
There's one from Kurt. Thank you. I don't know why these, like, sometimes they look like emojis in the chat and sometimes they don't. Anyway, we're moving on. What happened was I got playing with that LLM and then I was looking for something to stream. So I started watching this.
Also a very ancient problem. You see that in ancient Egyptian mythology, for example. So the figure of Seth, who's the evil brother of the king, is the Luciferian figure that's always the shadow of the...
It's like Loki.
It's like Loki. I wanted to note his distancing from Set and my interpretation of his interpretation of the ancient Egyptian story.
Luciferian figure, for example. So the figure of Seth, who's the evil brother of the king, is the Luciferian figure that's always the shadow of the...
It's like Loki.
Proper authority. Yeah, exactly. Or like Lucifer, Mephistopheles. And the idea there, it's a valid idea, obviously, is that as you produce a sociological hierarchy, say on the masculine side, the so-called patriarchy, is that some of that's going to be valid and rule as a consequence of authority and ability, but some of it's going to devolve into a power game. The problem, as far as I can tell, with the postmodernists, one of many, is that they concluded that there was no other game than power. And that's an unbelievably dangerous presumption. I mean, you can understand its logic. You laid it out to some degree. There's no shortage of corruption wherever you look, inside and out. But that doesn't mean that everything is corrupt. And it also doesn't mean that power is the fundamental principle that should unite everything. And of course, the question emerges, and you are exploring this in your book. If it's not nothing, nihilism and disunity, and it's not power, compulsion, and force, then what should be at the pinnacle? And
here's the disappointing answer from our good friend Jamie Wheel.
That's the fundamental question.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's gnosis.
That's how we ended up with this thumbnail today. I found myself disappointed that he said hopefully it's gnosis, because it tied to me the only gnosis we get to achieve is womb related. And that if you take Machu Picchu's new thing that sleep is supposed to be a thing in which is regenerative, it turns out that the womb and the product, the seed thereof, is the regenerative function of the sleeping global consciousness noosphere. And as such, I had wished that what was held sacred was instead the womb, which made me make the AI draw enmity for the womb. And that's how we got that thumbnail. And now Papa Peterson was talking about all the emerging small god principalities fighting for power. And I thought to myself, in our fifth generational warfare landscape, what would be the visualizations of the things that we could resist, or at least be cognizant of as members of an informed body? And that would be these things called think tanks. And since I had been playing with the AI so much, I decided to head on over and see what Grok would tell us about Please give me the available Twitter handles for members of both conservative and liberal think tanks. And the reason I did that, you see, is because this one of the special things about Twitter involves the 5 degrees of Kevin Bacon, and you get to feel like you're praying to Elon himself when you at Elon Musk, the devil's champion, and that you could actually influence the mind of peoples like you, foolishly using that to Twitter. If those Twitter accounts were associated with things like the American Enterprise Institute or the Manhattan Institute or the American Action Forum, while not directly listed, their official handle would be relevant. Oh, and don't forget the liberal ones like the Brookings Institutions, the CAP, and the Economically Policy Institute. And if you targeted those institutions and those people in those institutions with your tweets, thanks to the power of the Twitter platform and our we're a multi-platform egregore ourselves now, right? Now that we've been spoken into existence by the based camp and the power of the two. So
Slime! What? It's a river of slime!
if we're an egregore in a think tank, then the think tanks are egregores, and we would be hunting our influence over them as if we were a think tank, and that's where you get the title Hunting Egregores. Hey!
I'm not a cat. In all our searching, the only thing we've found that makes the emptiness bearable is each other.
We all know that there is no agency any living gent can see. Doing what is right for me is lifting up my bro so he can grow some eyes to see that doing what is right for me increases all our agency.
In other news, there's this lady in the corner named Laura Freeburn, and she's got a brother named Scott who wrote a book. It's a novel. It's supposed to not be the truth, but tell you more truth than you get. The link to that has now been provided in the Hive Mind chat below. Be sure and check that out. Thank you for making us feel virtually not alone. Afriel, tip-topping off the goal. See, the thing of it is, thank you for reminding me about the goal and what the motive behind the goal was. Because you see, once upon a time in the TLC, I was but a video maker for a larger channel that was known as Sorting Myself Out, also known as the @Porden B. Cheaterson channel, because a guy once went on Jordan Peterson and talked about how he masturbated and also made a YouTube channel. And that became a place where this other character ended up owning the channel after the redhead took off. And I was making videos for that channel. And one of the videos I made for that channel was called Welcome to the Illuminati, featuring a supercut of this chap here, Jamie Wheel. Here's more things he says.
Hopefully it's direct connection to that which is greater than our knowing. And a submission to that, but a willing submission with autonomy, not mediated by corruptible middlemen. So you were speaking,
And what happened was that video got pulled off of that channel, and the only copy I had is on the desktop tower, sitting over there on a hard drive on the desktop tower that doesn't turn on anymore. And I intended to use the funding of this Shadow Cabal donation, such as you helped with, Avriel, and special thanks to our executive producer, Ups. And you didn't put a star in it, so you have to scroll a lot. Way up here, this one, thank you, Ups. To use computer repairs to return our video of Welcome to the Illuminati featuring Jamie Wheel. And that's now going to be able to happen. So thanks again. I hope you felt virtually not alone and also are ready to hunt egregores.